Aetherdrift is finally here, and with it, a bunch of new funky mechanics that we gotta talk about, including start your engines? Today, Wizards of the Coast revealed some of the new mechanics that we are getting in the Aetherdrift set coming out soon. One being the Start Your Engines mechanic, which reads, whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, if your speed is 1 or greater, increase your speed by 1. Max speed is 4. This ability triggers only once each turn, and the maximum speed you can get is 4. As far as I know, there's only one card in the entire set that makes your speed go down. That card, though, has not been revealed yet, but in the MTG Magic the Gathering Twitch stream, they said there was at least one card that can make your speed go down, and that's it. So you can get up to 4 speed and then basically never have to worry about it. Now, is speed good for Commander? Questionable. Getting max speed may not be difficult, but you have to start early, and if you don't start early, you're going to have a hard time getting that max speed. Once you do hit max speed, though, there are a lot of cards in Magic the Gathering's new set that are really good and have very powerful max speed effects, including a goblin that we're going to see here in the future. With that being said, do we like it? Do we hate it? What is it good for? Where are people going to be playing it? Well, obviously, you're going to be playing it at your pre-releases that you should be doing at your LGSs. Now, the other one we have to talk about is Exhaust. Exhaust is a new feature that can be played once, just once, while that creature is in play. However, you can blink those creatures and then bring it back and then cast that Exhaust ability again. Probably the most interesting Exhaust creature is Loot the Pathfinder. I know how some people feel about Loot. Loot's adorable. Leave him alone. All right, Loot has 3 different Exhaust abilities. Loot is a 2-drop green, blue, red legendary creature beast noble. He has double strike, vigilance, and haste, so he could do some things. He has Exhaust green, tap, add 3 mana of any one color. Again, you can only do that once. Exhaust blue, tap, draw 3 cards. Pretty solid. Exhaust red, tap, Loot deals 3 damage to any target. So Loot by himself can lightning bolt, draw 3 cards, or add mana if you decide to exhaust all of those. But the key with Loot is you're probably going to want to blink him as many times as possible so that you can get those exhaust features over and over and over again. So Loot's going to be a fun commander, I think, for people to build around. Whether you like Loot or not, you're going to want to build it because drawing cards, making mana, and lightning bolting things is good in Magic the Gathering, and those things will never change. Now, if you know me at all, you know that I'm a big rule stompy boy. But this card had me thinking. Redshift Rocketeer Chief. A Gruul-colored Vigilance, a legendary creature goblin pilot. He has tap, add X mana of any one color where X is Redshift's power. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. Wink. Probably his own. You can exhaust him for 10, a red and a green, and then put any number of permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. This took some convincing because 12 mana, no matter what color pie you're in, is a lot of effing mana. However, X's own ability lets you pay for that a little bit and then exhaust him because you don't have to tap him. So you can tap him to add X amount of mana of any one color where X is Redshift's power. So pump up Redshift, do some ramp, and then you can exhaust him and then just flood the board with whatever is in your hand. It's not just a Galta Stampede Tyrant. It's literally you can play your entire hand right away. Now, you're going to have to draw. You're going to need some draw power if you're going to play Redshift, but that exhaust power is pretty nasty if you can get to that high cost 12. But 12 plus exhaust plus Redshift doing it himself, not terrible. And Redshift is, you're going to get him out pretty early with a red and a green is all it costs to play for a 2/3 with vigilance and 2 abilities. You're going to get Redshift out fairly early in the game. And I think you're going to be pretty happy that you did because my boy can do some things. Just takes a lot of mana and a lot of his own power to do so. Hey, and while I have you, I hope that you're enjoying these videos. I'm going to start making more long form content, and I hope you join me for this little trek. This video is kind of impromptu. I'm just going off of some of the things we saw today and then I just wanted to just talk to him, give a back and forth. So if it seems a little loopy, that's because there wasn't a ton of planning put into this. I just wanted to look at some cards and talk about them. The next one being the big one that everyone has been wondering about, the Aether Spark. Yes, the Aether Spark. This thing that we all saw for so long and we all questioned, a legendary artifact planeswalker equipment. We don't know any of the abilities. We didn't know any of the price to play the Aether Spark, but now we do. The Aether Spark cost 4 colorless mana, and then as long as the Aether Spark is attached to a creature, the Aether Spark can't be attacked, and has, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, put that many loyalty counters on the Aether Spark. Interesting. Then you +1 it, attach the Aether Spark to up to 1 target creature you control. Put a 1/1 counter on that creature. We get a little pump, and then it can't be attacked because now it's attached. Cool. Then you can -5 it to draw 2 cards, and then the big one is you -10 it to add 10 mana of any one color. The thing's already at 4. You're going to be right at 5 as soon as you cast this thing because you're going to attach it, because that gives you a little bit more protection, though this thing obviously does die to Abrade. So that is something that we have to think about. There's been a lot of discourse already on the internet on, is the Aether Spark a good card? And I think it's playable in the right decks. I think Wizards of the Coast might have learned their lesson that, hey, maybe 4-cost artifacts that are super powerful, maybe we shouldn't be putting those into every set. And I think they learned their lesson here. The Aether Spark is extremely powerful in the right decks. I don't know if it'll see a lot of limited play, a lot of standard play, but I think there are lots of commander decks that can really benefit from this. Specifically for me, a guy who's now started making Voltron commanders, Captain America is salivating over this thing. And then the ability to add all that mana is pretty freaking powerful. I think this card has lots of opportunity to be played, but you have to make sure you have protection for it because it is an artifact. It is an equipment, and it is a planeswalker. So if you have anyone that's running things that can get rid of those things, well, then you're going to have a bad time. Because obviously it can't really be attacked because you're going to attach it, but it can be target to all of those spells. So something to think about. The Aether Spark, I think, is a good card. I don't think it's busted. I don't think it's crazy. It's a good card that people are going to play. But there's also another kicker to the Aether Spark. It has 500 serialized versions of it. Only 500, much like Innistrad Remastered, where there's only 500 serialized versions of Edgar Markov in the beautiful poster art. The Aether Spark has 500 printed versions of it in the serialized. Oh, so that thing is going to be chased after no other. Speaking of planeswalkers, we have Chandra Spark Hunter. Legendary planeswalker Chandra costs 3 colorless and 1 red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1 target vehicle you control. Until end of turn, it becomes an artifact creature and gains haste. We like that. You may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw a card for her +2 ability. For her 0 ability, create a 3/2 colorless vehicle artifact token with crew 1. So solid. Chandra comes in, immediately you can make yourself a vehicle. Then you can -7, Chandra, you get an emblem with whenever an artifact you control enters, this emblem deals 3 damage to any target. Interesting. So whenever an artifact you control enters, this emblem deals 3 damage to any target. Where can that be abused, I wonder? Treasures. Obviously, vehicles are also usually going to be artifacts. So there's lots of different ways you're going to be able to just ping people with Chandra, which is what she does best and what she is here for in the Magic the Gathering universe. Chandra's going to be pinging people for 7. She already comes in at 4. You're going to immediately get her up to 6. You're going to get that 7 cost in no time and get the emblem where you can just start pinging people with all those artifacts that you're going to have coming onto the board. Another really interesting card I really wanted to talk about but couldn't for the longest time is the Last Ride. A 1 swamp, a legendary artifact vehicle. The Last Ride gets -X, where X is your life total. Then you can pay 2 and a black for pay 2 life, draw a card, and crew 2. I really like this. I think this is fun. I don't play a lot of black, but looking at a card like this makes me really want to play black. Obviously, this is kind of an end of turn. You've sacrificed a lot of life to get here, and now you have a 1-drop 13/13 that lets you pay 2 life and draw cards. This thing can do some work, obviously. But I know there's people out there that are gonna abuse this card somehow. I'm not exactly sure yet how to abuse this card, but I'm sure there's people that have already found multiple combos on how to abuse the last ride. Maybe give it to somebody else, perhaps. I don't know. I guess we'll see. There are specifically 2 more cards that I really want to talk about because I think they're going to be awesome commanders specifically to this set. The first is Mendicant Core Guidelight. It is Azurius colors. It is a white and a blue. It's a legendary artifact creature robot. When Mendicant's core power is equal to number of artifacts you control. So a bunch of artifacts, he instantly comes in as a 1/3. Got it, but you can obviously get more artifacts on the board. He has the start your engines feature, so start your engines, and then you really want to get him to max speed. Once he's at max speed, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. I feel like this could really be abused as a really good commander. Obviously, you have to get him to that max speed, so no matter what, you have to get to turn 4, turn 5 before you can really start using that ability. So understand that's a little slow. Definitely going to be a solid casual, maybe fringe high-powered commander, because no matter what, you have to wait till turn 4, turn 5 at the minimum to get that max speed, and that's if you draw the right cards. But once you get into max speed, well, then you're doubling up on your non-legendary artifacts. That can be pretty nasty, especially in a set that is built on artifacts. So I think there's potential here for Core Guidelight to be solid. But there is obviously that caveat that you have to play into its strengths, which is artifacts and getting to max speed. So give it a take there, but that's good because that's good for casual. And that means you're going to see this, and it's going to be more of a unique commander that you're not going to see at every commander table. So that's why I really like Core Guidelight. My next favorite commander that we're going to get from this set, I can't reveal number 1 yet because the card actually isn't even out, but my second or third favorite commander from the set is Culloden Triumph Caster. It is a red and a white human pilot. Mounted vehicles you control have haste. Sweet. Whenever a mount you control enters, it becomes saddled until end of turn. That's nice. Whenever a vehicle you control enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That's nice. So lots of solid abilities with Culloden Triumph Caster. I think we're going to see him played more. Obviously, we're getting another set with a lot of vehicles and a lot of mounts. So that's going to be important, but I think he's kind of one of the better commanders if you want to play that way, if you want to play a mount or an artifact or a vehicle, because the boy just does all the good things and gives everything haste. So I think he's going to be fun. Obviously, in those Boros colors, Boros has seen some strength recently. Again, I think he's more going to be geared towards commander, more towards the casual table. I think there's here potential for a high-powered, I don't think CEDH, but a high-powered deck could definitely be made with Culloden Triumph Caster. He has that ability with giving creatures haste. Obviously going to be more of an aggro-related deck. All right, we have our chase card in the Aether Spark, 1 of 500 or whatever serialized cards. The number 2 chase card, in my opinion, of this set is the Chrome Mox. Oh, it is a special guest card that can only be found in collector boosters. And this thing also has a borderless foil version and a gold foil version. This thing is awesome. I would absolutely love to open a Chrome Mox. Who wouldn't? So this thing is the second highest chase card, in my opinion, no pun intended with the racing theme that we have going on there. And that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I kind of enjoyed this. This was fun to do a more long form content. Most of my stuff is silly little content videos that I either take a sound or make up a funny way to play something in Magic the Gathering. You can find all those on all of my social media pages. But I really want to stick to this long form content. So if you liked this, I would absolutely appreciate it if you followed and liked and subscribed and shared this. You could even just share it to yourself. I could care less. That would be awesome. I would love it. Commenting also always helps. Arguing in the comments always helps, because that's just something people do on YouTube, and I would not be against it for this case, because I would love to continue to do more long form content for you, the people. So anyways, I just hit my elbow. That was not part of the video, but it happened, and here we are. We're back. Well, I appreciate you. Love you 3000. Make sure you guys check us out on all other social media platforms, but definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, love you 1,000. Bye.